Welcome to Mana's Seal YouTube channel. The previous video link is on the description box or on the top right card. Volume 12. The Paladin of the Holy Kingdom. Nia called the matter of the statues. Does wanting to spread his reputation mean the Sorcerer King is a show-off after all? That said, I now feel there's no need to try so hard with that. I ended up talking about pointless things. All I desire is to live in happiness with my children. That is all there is to it, but at the same time, it is also everything to me. She did not think the undead Sorcerer King could have children. Therefore, he probably did not mean children in the sense of carrying on his bloodline, but children in a broader sense. It felt like he regarded the citizens of his nation as his children. He is a kind man in every sense of the word. Indeed, what a wonderful world it would be, if even the frailest child could live in happiness. What was he thinking when he took this boy's life? As she looked at the profile of his face, she saw something like grief for killing a child. Well, that was pointless. In that case, let's drop the topic here. Miss Baraja, while I am not qualified to speak pretty words, I hope you find the justice that belongs to you. May I ask one more question? If your own subordinates had been taken hostage like that, would you have done the same thing? Well, this might be grumbling on my part, but it would be troublesome in another sense. What exactly do you mean? In the past, I asked them out of curiosity, what would you do if you were taken hostage to force me to negotiate? At that time, every single one of them promptly said they would rather kill themselves than inconvenience me in any way. No, I told them. Can't you say you'd wait for me to rescue you? And things like that. Well, it pleases me to see their loyalty. This is still, how shall I put it? My subordinates are all a little too fanatical. As he rotated his wrist, the Sorcerer King continued in a tired voice. Just as Nia began to think, weren't these unnecessary worries for someone in his position? Remedios appeared at the gate, carrying a blood-stained longsword, her armor similarly splattered in blood. Though she had removed her helmet, her bangs were stuck to her forehead by sweat. She looked utterly exhausted. After saying something to Gustavo, Nia sensed that for a moment, Remedios' eyes had met hers. No, it was less that she had locked gazes with Nia, but rather, she had been looking at the Sorcerer King, and Nia was in the way. Remedios said nothing, simply going back inside with a blank look on her face. In her place, Gustavo approached the two of them. Your Majesty, I wish to express my thanks. While there were some slight losses, we were able to minimize them thanks to your Majesty's power. Normally, the captain would be thanking you in person, but she is somewhat distraught at the moment, due to the tragic condition in which we found the people, so I pray you will forgive me for taking her place. Gustavo sneaked a peek at the boy, and then he looked back at the ground. It is fine. Go tend to the captain. Thank you very much. Come to think of it, what were those tragic conditions? Yes. We questioned several of the people we rescued, and they said that they were skinning the prisoners. It would seem they were not demihumans, but demons sent by Jaldabaoth. While she felt that the captain was using her emotions as an excuse for her rudeness, that did not seem to be the case. Just as Nia was starting to feel surprise, the Sorcerer King beside her tilted his head in bafflement. Why the skin? Why that? Are they going to eat it? Like chicken skin? No, we have no idea either, although, the demihumans did not seem to have taken part in those activities. Does your Majesty know anything about this? Could this be for some kind of demonic ritual? No, I apologize. I have no clue either. Why would Jaldabaoth do such thing? The Sorcerer King's puzzlement seemed to stem from the bottom of his heart, and after that everyone looked at each other, but they still could not unravel the mystery. Even so, since it was the work of demons, they might have done so just to make the humans suffer. I'll ask the priests later. Then, Your Majesty, we are now trying to figure out the demihumans' hiding places in order to clear them out, so I would like to monopolize a bit of your precious time afterwards. After saying so, Gustavo went back inside the gate. About 10 minutes after that, they could start seeing scattered human forms through the gate. They were the captives. Just like the boy who had been taken hostage, they were dressed in tattered, threadbare clothing that did not look like it could resist the winter chill. The paladins who should have escorted them to the door, simply went back past them and vanished behind the gate. Had they done this because they had too few people to handle the prisoners, or was it because the suppression work was still ongoing, or both of them? The prisoners had looks of delight on their faces as they rushed toward Nia. However, they suddenly stopped in their tracks. That was probably because they had seen the form of the Sorcerer King. And then, some people continued to approach them. Perhaps they felt that the Sorcerer King was just wearing a mask or something. A man ran over from amidst the walking people. The man panted heavily, and then knelt down beside the boy with chains had laid at Nia's feet. No, it would be more accurate to say he had collapsed there. The man caressed the boy's cheek, and after seeing for himself that the boy was dead, he burst into mournful tears. Clearly, he was the boy's father. Nia bit her lip. As the father cried his son's name while he wept, the Sorcerer King calmly said, "I was the one who killed that boy." Nia looked at the Sorcerer King in surprise. Was now the time to say this sort of thing? However, surely the wise Sorcerer King would not have suddenly said so for no reason. Why did you kill him? The fires of hatred burned in the father's eyes. Faced with that, the Sorcerer King replied with a mocking laugh. To save you, of course. What did you say? For just a moment, the father's eyes filled with fear. That was because he realized that the Sorcerer King's face was not artificial. Then, his eyes roved to the sides in search of help, and they settled on Nia. However, before Nia could say something, the Sorcerer King spoke first. Then may I ask you something? Why did you not protect your son? Your son was brought before me as a hostage. I protected him. But he was snatched away. Those bastards were stronger than me, so I couldn't do anything. The Sorcerer King laughed again. Then let me ask you, why are you still alive? The father did not know how to answer, and froze up. I am asking you why you did not die to protect your child. It is said that not all lives are equally important. You should have been the one who valued that child's life the most of all. So why did you not struggle wildly to protect him to your last breath? The other people were peeking at the situation here from a distance. They must have felt unease, fear, and anger at the Sorcerer King who had taken the boy's life. What are you saying? You are the one who failed to protect him. Do not push the blame onto others. You, who were weak, are at fault. Also, you seem to be mistaken about something. You do realize that I am much more powerful than the Bafik you claim to be stronger than you, no? Although I can forgive some insults because I pity you for the loss of your child, I will slay you if they get out of hand. The Sorcerer King reached out a bony index finger and rested it on the father's face. That's because you're strong, that's why you can say that. Not everyone can be as powerful as you. Well said. I can say this precisely because I am powerful. Then, it is precisely because you are weak that being taken from is your lot in life, no? The strong preying on the weak is a very natural sequence of events. The Sorcerer King turned his eyes to the people around him. Have you not also experienced suffering because the Bafik are strong? Are you saying the strong can do what they want? Exactly. The strong do what they will, and the weak suffer what they must. This is the way of the world. The same rule applies to me. In the face of a more powerful opponent, I would have no recourse but to suffer. That is why I seek strength. Nia understood why the Sorcerer King sought Jaldabaoth's maids. His Majesty must be seeking strength because he wants to protect his nation, to protect the children of his country. So strength is the most important thing after all. Well, originally, the weak like yourselves should have been defended by the Holy Kingdom, those who should have been strong. I really do pity you. If you were under my protection, under the protection of my country, the Sorcerer's Kingdom, something like this could not possibly happen. That is because I would have used all my strength to protect the people and strike down the Bafik. Everyone around them was silent. The Sorcerer King's arguments were cold and heartless, but at the same time they expressed the truth of the world. If they could not oppose his words with reason, would they choose to protest with their emotions? However, their fear of the Sorcerer King stopped them from doing so. Isn't he one of the undead? What are the undead doing in a place like this? The father could not say anything to the Sorcerer King because he feared the latter, and so he directed his wrath at Nia instead. However, before Nia could answer, the Sorcerer King stole a march on her, as expected. To help your country, of course. And the fact is, you were all rescued by the undead of which you speak. If you are unhappy with that, why not save this nation by yourselves? As he heard that, the father questioned Nia with his eyes. However, she could say nothing. That was because it was the truth. If the people of this country were enough to defeat Jaldabaoth, the Sorcerer King would not be here. The man hugged the boy's corpse in fear, and then he turned and ran. The people to which the man ran had frightened looks on their faces as well. Nia heard the Sorcerer King say something, but she did not know if he was addressing the fleeing man himself. Even I would be oppressed if I were weak. Therefore one cannot forget to seek strength. I need to engrave into my heart the fact that beings of comparable power to myself most definitely do exist. After attacking the first prison camp and freeing the Liberation Army troops in prison within, they went after their next prison camp on the next day. They were not riding on the momentum of victory. Rather, there were several reasons why they could not do anything else. The most pressing one was because the food stocks in the prison camps were less than they had estimated. This, in turn, was the result of the twin policies of the Demihumans not feeding their captives enough, and regularly shipping food in from a small city nearby. In addition, the Demihumans who accompanied the food shipments were also responsible for inspecting the prison camps for any abnormalities. Even if they killed all these Demihumans and took all their food, the opposition would definitely conclude that something had gone wrong at the prison camps. Of course, Jaldabaoth would learn of that as well. That being the case, it was very likely that he would dispatch a huge force which Nia and the others would not be able to defeat. After standing behind the Sorcerer King and participating, but obviously not speaking, in meetings, after a long argument that made Nia's legs hurt to stand on, they had finally arrived at two possible courses of action. The first was to flee to the south after liberating one prison camp and throwing in their lot with the armies that ought to be stationed there. The second was to strike first and conquer the aforementioned small city. While both of these opposed courses of action had their own merits and flaws, they eventually went with the latter, after the captain of the Paladin Order, Remedios, shouted for it. Remedios had a top-secret reason for choosing to assault the city. After questioning the Demihumans, and of course, killing them afterwards, the town which was their target apparently contained someone with royal blood in their veins. If they were truly of the royal bloodline, it was very likely that the situation would improve. Even if they were not royalty, it would be a godsend if they were great noble with a certain degree of status and connections. They could bank on the fact that they had saved his life to ask the southern armies to apply pressure, and possibly ask for reinforcements. However, Nia had her doubts.